Yo, what is up, Sex Beast Crazy Rabbit here, and today we're going to be doing top 5 hardest maps in zombies. Now, we're going to be going by how hard it is to get to high rounds, not really anything else. So we're going to be doing sort of the top 5 hardest maps to go for high rounds, but to shorten that up, we're just be calling it the top 5 hardest maps in zombies. So let's go ahead and get the shit started. Coming in number 5 is going to be Shangri-La. Now, out of all these maps, Shangri-La, in my opinion, is definitely the easiest. Mainly because you have a wonder weapon, you can get Jug, and there's a fairly decent spot you can actually train at. So if you're facing Pack-a-Punch, you want to keep that right side door closed, and you want to go all the way around. So over here where I'm running at, there's a little strategy you can run, and it's really kind of easy once you get past like round 20. I think the hardest part in Shangri-La is probably the teens, because the zombies just don't spawn in fast enough for this strategy to work yet. So that's probably the hardest part about Shangri-La, but once you get past that and you're in around 20s and 30s, you're going to be good. You'll have a strategy, you'll have a wonder weapon that's pretty good, you'll have all your perks you can get. So I mean, Shangri-La is a difficult map, but out of all these maps on this list, it's definitely the easiest, and I would definitely rather go to high rounds on this map than any of the others. So let's go ahead and go to number 4. Alright, and coming in number 4 is going to be 5. Now, I really did contemplate on whether I should put 5 higher on the list or not, but then I decided, you know, number 4 is probably a good place to put it. 5 is a very difficult map to go to high rounds on. When I was doing the round 50 run on that, I died and had to restart so many goddamn times. It's just such a hard map, because in order to get to high rounds, after like round 20s and into the 30s, that's when the winner's house stops working. And you're going to have to find another way to get zombie kills, and the only way to do that is the traps that you have to use up and spawn. And it is just so goddamn hard to train them all up in this little tiny area, and then take them through a trap, and then train them all up again while they're spawning in. That is very, very difficult to do, and I will probably never do that again in my entire life. It was just such a pain in the ass to have to do. And really, you're desperately going to need the crossbow. If you don't have that crossbow, you're really not going to be able to do much, because that crossbow will save your life, because you're not going to be able to kill anything. So you might as well use the crossbow, so that way if you got to get cornered, you can just shoot it, and all the zombies will run away from you real quick. So that crossbow is a lifesaver. The only way you're going to be able to get kills on high rounds is with that trap. 5 is definitely one of the hardest maps I've ever played. Alright, and coming in number 3 is going to be the World War version of Varrock. Now, I didn't know if I should put 5 here or not, but ultimately decided I think Varrock might be just a tad bit harder, mainly because there's no Pack-a-Punch machine. So you don't really get the joys of using like the winner's howl through the teens and 20s. You only have the ray gun and traps. That's about it. It's also a very small, compact place. So at least on 5 you can train in the Pentagon room, but on Varrock there's really no big open areas where you can do that at. It's all sort of small, compact areas, and the only way you're gonna get kills is by taking them through traps. So you kind of gotta know what you're doing. You gotta watch out for the spawns. So I think this and 5 are almost about equal. I think this map might be a tiny bit harder because the World War version has no wonder weapons besides the ray gun, and there's no Pack-a-Punch. But that's just how I see it. So let's go ahead and get on number 2. Alright, and coming in number 2 is going to be Bus Depot. Now, I really could make a whole list about just being like farm, bus depot, and town or something like that. No, well, not really town, sort of. I mean, it just doesn't have a wonder weapon. But I could sort of put all those in the list, but I decided just to pick one out of them all, and I think Bus Depot, in my opinion, is the hardest. You don't have any Pack-a-Punch, and you have no perks. I mean, I've tried to go for far rounds on Bus Depot, and it's just so unbearable because you really have nothing to kill them with. You gotta use the weapons around you. You could sort of use the lava to your advantage and stuff like that. But you have no perks, so you have to be extra careful all the time, and that's just a pain to concentrate 24/7. I mean, I can barely do that in a day. And it's also a huge pain you really don't have anything to kill with. The Ray Gun Mark II is probably the only weapon that's going to do anything once you really start to get up there. So if you can get lucky at the Ray Gun Mark II fairly early on, you're going to be set. But if that box really hates you, you're probably screwed because there's nothing else you can kill a zombie with once you really start to get up to high rounds. And since there's no Pack-a-Punch, no perks, it's going to be very hard to survive. But like I said before, you might find this map incredibly easy. This is just how I'm seeing things. So let's go ahead and get on number 1. Alright, and coming in number 1 is going to be Nocturne Totem. So I sort of had to think about which one was harder, Bus Depot or Nocturne Totem, and ultimately decided Nocturne Totem is just a little bit harder, because at least in Bus Depot you have a big open area you can run around in, but in the World War version of Nocturne Totem, it's not really that big, and there's no wonder weapon. You don't have the Thunder Gun like you do in the Black Ops 1 version. In the World War version, the only thing you got is the ray gun and the wall weapons, and there's no perks similar to Bus Depot, but it's also more closed space. It's not really a big open area. You can't really run in the big open area and train. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to go far rounds on all these maps. I'm just saying it's rather difficult compared to like Moon or Origins or something like that, where it's easy to go to far rounds, or like Buried. These maps are just harder to go to far rounds, whether it's because they don't have any perks, no wonder weapon, or it's just a small compact space, which Nocturne Totem has all of those. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm very curious to know, do you guys agree with this list? If not, put in the comments what you think should have went where, and if you guys could, please leave a like and subscribe when they're ready. Peace.
Bye.